Fork it. Fork it or just walk away. So terrible advice, really. Time for another Linux Weekly Update. More with Linux Weekly Update, but also I'm looking for a volunteer from the audience. It's kind of the top story. Linus Torvalds embraces AI. We can get that out of the way. Saying this is a useful code review tool. If you don't like it, you can fork it or walk away. It's an interesting stance because just a couple of years ago, those slop security reports, they were not fantastic because they were piloted by people that had no idea what they were doing. And it seemed plausible to a layman, but then when people that knew what they were doing had to scrutinize it, it fell apart under scrutiny. And that angers people. And that is an entirely reasonable response. And Linus obliquely acknowledged that in his email, I think. And you can read that on the mailing list. You can imagine that has kicked off a lot of kerfuffle and clickbait headlines and all that kind of thing. I don't really want to get into that. It's no secret I'm probably one of the most pro AI folks out there that are like, it's like making my voice heard doing the YouTuber thing. I still feel like a rando. And I'm really optimistic about it because of the power that it gives people. Like the Linux kernel and open source gives people power over the machine. You realize that copyright law is so draconian that we would have had locked down walled garden platforms 20 years ago if it weren't for open source. And open source paved the way to completely take over the universe, basically everywhere except the desktop. Open source, not just GPL license, MIT, BSD licensing, is everywhere. It's literally everywhere. Everybody watching this knows that, I think, but it serves a little bit as a reminder. It's on other planets. Open source code made it to other planets, at least at the same time, if not before, well before proprietary code. I think it's going to be that way with AI. There's also, it's like, I don't know, maybe I've attracted the attention of like, there's a lot of doomers out there that have like trying to malign my pro small person stance, pro small creator, pro non-corporation thing. One of the ways that they do that, I've noticed, is saying that because I'm generally against the expansion of copyright law, which is already insane, that therefore creators should give away their creations. No. Suffice it to say, I'm a big believer in the first sale doctrine. Once you buy something, the person that sold it to you has very little say over how you use it, unless it's going to severely depress or remove the market for somebody selling that thing in the first place. And this also applies to patents as well. So like there was a pretty famous case for the internal combustion engine where somebody had an engine design and it was pretty good and they patented it. And then somebody came along and made a really substantial improvement. And the improvement was also patented. And then the company that made the engine just assumed that they could use the patented improvement because they own the patent for the engine. That did not end well for them, from what I recall. And that is kind of, patents and copyright, or patents have been, like the patent process, that sort of thing has been less adulterated than copyright. But this idea of copyright for 170 years, public good, the pendulum has not swung the other way. The other way that I know that any kind of copyright law to protect small creators or to protect creators or protect authors will backfire severely is the media tax. You remember the media tax? Media tax technically still exists. If you buy a blank CDR or, like a music CDR or hard drives, you pay a tax. And that tax goes directly to the copyright cartel. That is insane. That is the level of brokenness. You as a small creator, are you entitled to that? No, you're not. It's going to a record label. Because, again, record label cartel, if you earnestly believe that we, the people, could get a law passed to benefit small individuals, I would ask you to look at right to repair. You should have the right to repair your stuff. People understand this intrinsically. It is not hard to understand. You can have a room temperature IQ and understand that I bought this thing. I should be able to work on this thing. It dovetails with the first sale doctrine. It's not a hard concept to understand, but don't twist it. I am an advocate for small like reasonableness and things at the individual level. There's a lot of bad things happening at a large scale. There have always been a lot of bad things happening at a large scale. If there are a lot of people that have inertia and notice the bad things happening at scale, and we can organize to stop the bad things happening to we the people at scale, I'm all for that. We can get together and make a change. I'll be right there to help do those things. But until then, I'm going to focus on technology and also things that enable you to do things at a small scale with technology, kind of like open source software. It's like, yes, we're not going to have an open source Unix to be able to run on the giant mainframe tomorrow, but we will have home computers and we will have a Unix-like experience on the home, but the modern versions of these things, you know what I'm saying? The next piece of news that I had was not on my bingo card for 2026 is BcachFS has exited the experimental stage. It has a history. Okay, I'll take it. BcachFS exiting experimental status. Does that mean we can all try it? Are there any volunteers for testing that? No, that's not the thing that I had in mind for being a volunteer. Kasm desktop or Kasm workspaces. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at doing a video on this as I mentioned last week. So I've got the Intel B60 machine. I've got 4 B60s, and this is great for an SR-IOV host and VDI. And this actually might be a low-cost way to keep existing machines running a little longer so that they don't have to be replaced. Because you can use you can use a 10-year-old machine as a thin client into something a little more reasonable if you can get some graphics acceleration. And so Proxmox running on that B60, Kasm workspaces, might give us a Horizon-like VDI experience. So if you've got just a singular Intel B50, B60, B70, and you're willing to spend a little time setting up Proxmox on that machine and getting SR-IOV going and taking Kasm workspaces for a spin for me by proxy to help with the write-up, because I'm sort of doing the same thing, that would be great. Hit me up in the forum, ping me, whatever. I would love to have a little bit of help volunteer on this. I'm still working on it, but we'll see. So that's the volunteer segment. The Ubuntu kernel team warned of a temporary AMD GPU performance regression up to 42x reduction in compute-heavy workloads on 26.04 and 24.04 LTS HWE. There's a fix in the upstream pipeline, but it hasn't landed yet. So if you've noticed that compute-heavy workloads have tanked, maybe check that out. Ryzen 7 7700X3D launched, tested on Linux. It works just the way that you'd expect. It's a Zen 4 CPU. It's 329, 3D Vcache, 8 cores, 4.5 gigahertz top speed, 500 megahertz slower than its 7800X3D counterpart. Really, for Linux, there wasn't a tremendous difference between Zen 4 and Zen 5 until you get into AVX 512 workloads and a couple other not exactly day-to-day workloads, I would call it. For the non-day-to-day workloads, Zen 5, pretty significant bump on Linux. But for day-to-day gaming, Zen 4, Zen 5, Zen 4 in 2026, I mean, if you're coming from something older, but even if you're on AM4, it may make more sense to just stick with AM4, maybe upgrade to a 5800X3D now that those are available again. But AM4 has some pretty significant longevity. It's still a pretty good platform. Any of you use Open Mandriva back in the day? There was a little bit of controversy. One of the contributors or former contributors may have created a bit of a kerfuffle sabotaging and deleting years of work. And yeah, so I don't know. Maybe check that out. I talked a little bit about, modern payment networks and modern payment gateways because, listen, again, if a reasonable person looks at what we have with Visa and MasterCard and payment gateways and the whole payment card industry, they would light it on fire with the force of 1,000 Teddy Roosevelts because of the antitrust violation and everything else, because it's a dumpster fire. It's a mess. So the Linux Foundation has launched the X402 Foundation. Now, everybody's labeling that as standardizing payments from AI agents, but really, I like it for supplanting and undermining the payment card industry, because that should have happened a long time ago. There is no universe in which it makes sense for the payment card industry to charge 3% on a transaction. That's insane. See also their insane profit margin as evidence for why that is should not be tolerated. The profit margins are so insane that competitors should spring up immediately, but there are regulatory and regulatory capture type hurdles preventing that. And so it is not really a capitalistic market. It's a problem. It is like the technology is there. We have the technology. The technology has improved. Imagine if IBM got to charge you a 3% tax on your storage that went to IBM just because IBM had the first mover advantage for the IBM PC. Payment card industry. Performance is abysmal. Bus contention is bonkers, but it does work. That's Linux on Sega 32X. Check that out. And congratulations, engineer, sir. You have way more time than I do. That is amazing. Speaking of Mad Lads, check out this homebrew RISC-V GPU with over 8,000 RISC-V cores, because RISC-V GPU? Okay, cool. And finally, Debian Bookworm 32-bit, the last 32-bit release. If you're on a 32-bit machine, so sorry. Or this is the end of an era. Even the $5 Raspberry Pi Zero, it's still $5, is not 32-bit. Pretty sure that's right. It's madness. It's madness. A lot of fun stuff going into your weekend, I guess. Oh, a fully assembly X11. I didn't have time to check that out. I saw the headline and I knew enough not to head down the path of temptation. So there you go. Next week, I'm going to be in San Francisco at Advancing AI. If you're going to be there, drop a note, ping me on the forum, maybe say hello. Maybe you want to say hi in a video. It's like, what are you doing here? Why are you helping advance the collapse of modern civilization? Or are you working on the things that will save it? The bottom line is that I believe that there are enough people with a clue and a will to make the world a better place that when they're needed, we will step up. And I hope that that happens in a controlled fashion and not an uncontrolled fashion. But it is exciting to see the speed with which technology is advancing, even though a lot of it has become inaccessible to us, at least in the short term. But we have the software, and we have the software on a 10-year-old machine, and we have the software now more than ever to be able to move away from the you will own nothing and be happy future, I think. I'm Willis Level 1. I'm signing out. You can find me in the forums doing stuff. I don't know. Fun times. All right, I'm signing out. I'll see you there.